the record button. And let's try this again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to yet another edition of the Groovy podcast, take two. We actually had, my name is Ken Kousen. I'm here with the inestimable and the very patient Graeme Rocher. You say Rocher, or you said you pronounce it slightly differently than I?
No, you said it.
Okay, and we actually just had a very nice discussion about all things
It was
Micronaut.
fabulous, yeah.
And nobody will ever know because apparently you do have to hit the record button in order to make a recording.
Yeah, hitting record has value. Yeah.
So let's try that again. You know? So we are currently podcasting from the Moscone South, I guess is the center we're in South here.
Yeah.
And at the conference known as Oracle Code 1, formerly known as Java 1. We are in the Groundbreaker Ambassadors section of the, actually is it just called a Groundbreaker section? I don't know. We're in the main meeting hall. And we are, I'm here with an actual groundbreaker, Graeme Rocher, who is the founder of both the Grails framework and the Micronaut framework, where Micronaut is the one that's rapidly growing and taking the microservices world by storm or whatever.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Excellent.
It certainly is.
And what we were discussing, I should refer to something that nobody's ever going to see. Let me ask you this. Yesterday, so this is Tuesday, and yesterday at the conference, you gave 2 talks here in the conference, and why don't you describe what those talks were and how they were attended, and anything else clever you could think of that we might find
miss from the previous. So I gave a couple of Micronaut talks.
Right.
And so the first one was it was entitled Evolving Software, Evolving Java for the Microservice and Service Era. And I kind of talked about the design decisions we made in Micronaut that really benefit performance, runtime performance, memory consumption, optimizing those aspects to achieve the best, making Java the best it can be at a framework level. One thing is the language, but the other thing is how frameworks are implemented on top of the language. And I think Micronaut is a big step in a new direction for frameworks of the future, which is to do more stuff at compilation time, more intelligent compilers.
And it's interesting that, I mean, in an audience like this, with Grails, you always have to talk about Groovy as well. But with Micronaut, you can do everything in Java. You can do everything with Kotlin. There's your bonus for those of you doing the over-under on when we first mentioned Kotlin on the Groovy podcast.
Right. Speaking of Kotlin,
God, not you too. So at any rate, your talks you did in Java, is that right?
Yes, I did them in Java.
Is that just to be friendly to the audience here?
Yeah,
so
I think most people know Java.
This conference,
certainly. So yeah, Java is one of the supported languages. Ruby and Kotlin and Micronaut, and that was actually one of the things that was really challenging about the Micronaut project, because we wanted to implement something that worked across languages. And so with Java we use annotation processes, and with Groovy we use the Groovy AST. And they kind of have different views on the world. There are different APIs. So we had to build like an abstraction over those, over the Groovy AST and the Java annotation process AST that it exposes.
With Kotlin, do you use extension methods?
With Kotlin supports the Java annotation process API. So we kind of got Kotlin support as a freebie.
Oh, good.
Which is why we don't actually currently support Scala, but we have plans to.
Oh, didn't know that. So you actually are planning to find a way to support Scala as well?
It would be nice to support Scala at some point. I don't think we should be leaving out any.
It's just an ambitious goal.
That sounds like maybe I'm an optimist. So, maybe.
So interesting. I mean, I remember when Grails came out, part of the motivation for Grails was, back to the old Ruby on Rails days, is that they needed a language that did metaprogram, that had a meta-object protocol, and that's Rails used Groovy for that on the JVM. And you're saying you kind of found a way to make all that happen at compilation time rather than at runtime. in Micronaut?
Yeah, so the Micronaut is largely static compilation based. So the metaprogramming model and using runtime metaprogramming is very different model to the way Micronaut works with compilation time. So they're not like directly comparable. But I wouldn't say the goals of Groovy and Grails was about the meta object protocol. It was more certainly in the case of Grails, we wanted to create a framework that was really had a high velocity and was a rapid acquisition development framework. It was easy. When Grails came out, there was nothing like it on the JVM.
Right.
And the whole of the Java community was looking over it in Envy at
Ruby on Rails. Yeah.
So Grails, hence the name, was let's prove that we can achieve the same levels of productivity in the same.
I should ask you because the way I heard the story, and I suppose if anybody would know, you would, is that when Grails was first created, it was actually called Groovy on Rails.
That's right.
And then DHH himself, David Hedemeier Hansen, came in and said, you can't call it Rails.
Yeah.
That's our framework.
Yeah.
And you went, okay, let's just call it Grails.
It was very polite. I mean, there was no way for him to legally enforce that, but he was very polite about it and asked requested that we don't use that suffix. I think it's fair enough.
I also tell people, of course, that the name Ruby on Rails is a name that never under any circumstances would have occurred to an American, because when he said on Rails, he was thinking the clean, high-speed European trains and not Amtrak.
Yeah.
I mean, if we called a framework Java on Amtrak, I mean, who would ever
never
come near it, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that first talk, you say that was, as I recall, that was pretty well attended.
Yeah, my initial Micronaut talk, it was more introductory material, and I covered introduction to Micronaut and how we solved the challenging problem of making application frameworks more efficient with Micronaut. And it was a packed out room.
You cram that into 45 minutes.
Yeah, the 45-minute talk times are really, really challenging.
That's brutal.
It's really hard to get all the information in there. But I think folks came away, enjoyed the talk, and the feedback I got was good. And we had to. It's a shame they don't let folks stand up at the back. It was like it's not once the last seat is occupied, they close the doors and they'll be asked to come in.
Wow. Now the other talk you gave, what was the title of that one? It was 10 something.
So I did a Micronaut deep dive, and it was like subtitle 10 things you can do with Micronaut. And that one was actually in the graveyard shift at 6 o'clock.
It was a really awkward time.
At 6 o'clock, so everybody was already thinking about which party they were going to, and which event they were dinner, and or falling asleep, and I had to deliver a talk. So so it wasn't a great time, and even in that one, the room was maybe 3/4 full or something, which is pretty good for that time. It's I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a lot less. The talk was mainly code demos, showing, because one of the things about Micronaut when you compare it to Grails, is the diversity of use cases you can use it for. So you can use it for a much wider range of problems than Grails. Well, Grails is mainly focused on web apps.
Right. And specifically CRUD-based web apps.
Yeah, specifically that problem space. And Micronaut is, you can use it to build online applications. You can use it to build message microservices. You can use it to build scheduled jobs. You can use it to build so many different cases. We even have internally we have a project that are using it with Java Flex. So,
wonderful. Yeah. See, that surprises me because I always think of Micronaut as building REST-driven URL.
So that's one of the things I wanted to put. I mean, Micronaut, the name more refers to the optimized memory footprint and smaller process size that you get by using the patterns that we advocate and the APIs that we advocate with Micronaut.
Speaking of APIs, one of the major innovations to happen in Micronaut recently is the release of Micronaut Data.
Yeah.
So can you say something for people who've never used that, what that's about, what the use case there is, how that relates to, say, GORM?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, with GORM and Micronaut, we've had GORM support in Micronaut since we released it. But obviously, GORM, you know, being based on the Groovy language, you know, is not something that a Java developer or a Kotlin developer is likely to be interested in taking on.
It's a shame, but
It's
yeah.
a shame because it's a great toolkit.
But yes.
But that's just the reality.
Yes, it is.
You know, we on the one hand we wanted something as part of Micronaut that had a subset of the features that would be of interest to the Java and Kotlin community. So Micronaut Data is essentially the GORM data source services part of GORM.
Data services.
Yeah. However, it's not. In addition to that, we wanted to change architecturally how it worked. Remember, I mentioned about more intelligent compilers.
Right.
So we moved the computation of the query that's going to be executed.
Right.
So the SQL or the JPA-QL query into the compiler itself. And the benefit of that is a much smaller runtime. So at runtime, a much more smaller and leaner and more efficient runtime.
Right, because there's no reflection.
So there's no reflection. It's based on Micronaut's like reflection-free AOP.
I know, which is cool.
Which is really like it has really short stack rex traces, and it's really efficient. And all it has to do is like retrieve the query, which we computed already at doing the compilation phase, and execute. So it's you know, from that perspective, the runtime is really light and thin. So it keeps your microservice micro, right? So at runtime, or your serverless function, or whatever you make it, keeps it really small and doesn't inflate. Like for example, when you add like something like Hibernate onto your class path, it's like a 3-4 megabyte jar file or something like that. So you end up inflating your stuff. Like, but in contrast, Micronaut Data JDBC is really small on the runtime because we can do a lot more at compilation time. So it's like another take and taking the lessons learned. And you know, a lot of Micronaut is about that. You know, with Micronaut and the design of Micronaut, we looked at you know, kind of created this list of the 10 things that kind of bother us about like Spring and Grails and, you know, architecturally. And we wanted to solve all of those problems.
And one of those, of course, is this idea of eliminating reflection.
Yeah. So
at runtime, I should say.
Yeah. So like the Micronaut AOP layer is like so much simpler. You know, all you do is you define an annotation.
Okay.
You define a method interceptor, and you tell the annotation what method interceptor to invoke when it's put on like a method or something, and that's it.
Is that how the transactions are handled? And things
Yeah,
like
like
well?
all the transactional and whatever. There's nothing else to be done. So there's no like proxy factory beans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so used to proxies.
Runtime bytecode generation and massive stack traces.
Right.
It's so much simpler and so much more efficient. So much more you know, lean. So yeah, that just solved a whole bunch of problems. And apart from that, we don't like have any special class loaders or anything in Micronaut. So it's like
a lot of people will be relieved to hear that.
Yeah. So when you run a Micronaut app, it's just like the system class loader, you know, like the normal class loader of a normal Java app. So there's no like URL class loaders, custom class loading, dynamic class loading, which always causes massive headaches.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we had a whole bunch of things that we wanted to make sure that we don't want to repeat this mistake. This one, and create something. And that's really a reflection of what Micronaut is. It's like taking the 10 years of experience that we had with Grails and using Spring and hitting the reset button and seeing, you know, if we were to start these projects again using the technology choices we have today, what can we build that's like compelling and more efficient, more easier to use, and doesn't have the existing problems
And then to close the feedback loop, the release of Grails 4 came out and said, let's take the, I guess you say the parent container, is that how you would say, that used to be based on Spring, and replace that with what you learned. Would you still call it a Micronaut container? Is that how you would say?
It's like a Micronaut context.
A context. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Grails is always going to be based on Spring because we didn't want to put users through the same upgrade.
Yeah, that'd be massive.
That they experienced from Grails 2 to Grails 3.
Yeah, when the whole project layout changed, and moved to Gradle and all that stuff.
So that we didn't want to inflict on the users. So
thank you.
The upgrade the upgrade process for going to Grails 3 to Grails 4 is actually much simpler. From the feedback we've had so far is, oh yeah, I created my app and it's working, and that's good. So it's still based on Spring, so there's no huge architectural changes. The only major thing we changed is, and it shouldn't like be a briefing one, it's just like new, is that we made so Spring has this ability to where you can define a hierarchy of application context.
Right.
So your main context where your beans live can have a parent.
Right.
And we made Micronaut the parent context.
Okay. So it's your bean manager role.
Yeah. So what did that give us? Well, one of the things it gave us is it allowed us to rewrite a lot of the internals of Grails to use Micronaut dependency injection, which allowed us to reduce memory consumption and improve startup quite a bit. As it happens, Spring itself also has some nice improvements in the startup time as well.
And you were able to move to Spring 5, Spring Boot. Spring Boot evolved at all or not? I mean, only
Spring Boot,
because of the auto
Spring
configuration
Boot,
stuff.
2.1 and so forth. So if you combine all those factors, startup time is improved, and memory consumption quite a bit in Grails 4. And then the other cool thing about the Micronaut context being the parent is that you can essentially use many of Micronaut features automatically.
Like the HTTP client, I think you mentioned.
And the Kafka client and so forth. So now we're in a situation where whatever feature we develop for Micronaut is also useful for Grails users.
Holy reuse, Batman. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So the testing part, I imagine, also the test context has been revised multiple times in Grails over the years. So I suppose you can use that HTTP client to test RESTful web service.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's got to be helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Spring has that REST template, but this is more of a pure functional test, right?
Yeah.
Something like Java.
Yeah.
Very good there. Okay, so that's Grails 4, and I think we were deciding that Grails 4 is basically a mature framework at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just say Grails, I suppose. I think the term you used was feature complete.
Yeah, I think that Grails as the core framework part is more or less, like I mentioned, feature complete and stable, and it's been around for a long time. If we add new features, the features that we add are going to be features that benefit the large ecosystem. So, for example, like I mentioned, when we add something new for Micronaut,
right?
Because the microphone context is Micronaut.
Yeah.
That's like a new feature. So when we build something for Micronaut, it adds value to the Grails ecosystem.
You immediately get the gain from that.
Right.
Regarding the ecosystem as a whole, especially in Grails, I mean, in Micronaut, obviously the interest has been very high. I remember when you gave a Micronaut talk at, or actually it might have been Jeff. No, you gave a Micronaut talk at DevNexus last year.
Yeah.
And again, filled the room.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people standing in the back, and now
Yeah.
they let people in, right? So we know the interest is high in that, and there's still a gain in that. What's your assessment of how Grails is doing in the community? I mean,
yeah. So I think that there's the Gartner hype cycle thing.
Right.
It's certainly the case that Grails is no longer well past the
peak of inflated expectations.
But
But are we past the trough of disillusionment and moved up?
Oh yeah,
again?
I think we have definitely passed that. And it's mature. It's got a large community that love it, and it's very good at what it does, which is like where it has its sweet spot, which is traditional web applications. I don't think that there's any shame or anything in saying that that is what it was designed to do, and you can't. Rails is not something you can adapt to like other workloads like microservices or serverless.
Right.
It just doesn't fit those kind of workloads.
And as you mentioned, since you mentioned the Gartner hype cycle,
yeah,
I mean, we probably have passed the microservices peak of inflated expectation. I mean, for a while there, everything wanted to be a microservice, and architects kept saying, look, if you can't design a good monolith, what makes you think you can design a good network set of distributed microservices?
Right,
you know? So I think we're starting to see some pullback to say, you know what, monoliths may not be all that bad every now and again.
Yeah.
And that's where Grails, so you've now got a solution for both sides.
Absolutely, and even like for I think if you look at microservices, if there's the one thing that's really come out of that has really added a lot of value to the Java community in general is a reassessment of like what is an acceptable amount of memory consumption and startup that a Java application can have. Because for too long, I think it was we in the Java community just accepted that my app takes gigabytes of memory, and it doesn't matter if it takes like 2 gigabytes of memory, or it doesn't matter if it takes 30 seconds to start up, whatever. I think the microservice era, which is far from being over, I think there's still there's learnings happening and so forth. It's not for everybody. If anybody claims that microservices is for everybody, that's just not true. But certainly, it's helped us build more efficient applications and helped us think about application architecture differently. Micronaut has had a huge impact on Java framework design and how frameworks are built. And if you look at the impact it's had over the last year and a half, with Red Hat coming out with Quarkus soon afterwards, which follows many of the same patterns that Micronaut does. The Spring team optimizing, trying to really improve memory consumption and startup for.
See, from a spectator sport point of view, I'm really enjoying Spring people suddenly going, hey, wait a minute, we actually have competition here. And I mean, it's the whole, where they say Gandhi, it's like first they ignore you and then they fight you and then you've won or whatever, that sort of thing. The Spring team finally went, oh, wait a minute, what's this Micronaut thing? It's nothing. Oh, wait a minute, it starts up how fast?
Yeah.
And suddenly they have to address performance. And of course, you, as with most people in the Groovy community, are very diplomatic, saying, I'm glad the conversation's happening. When I hope in the background you're going, yes.
No, it's. I think it's beneficial to the whole Java community that we I was speaking about this. I was hanging out with the Quarkus guys yesterday, and Emmanuel Bernard and his good friend, and it's really beneficial to the whole Java community that there are such exciting projects coming out for Java that are really changing developers and users' expectations of what a framework should perform like in terms of memory, in terms of startup, in terms of, and really pushing the envelope and pushing innovation to happen. Because ultimately, it's not so much about Micronaut versus Spring or Quarkus, whatever. It's also about the fact that other ecosystems like Golang and Node and so forth are already in many ways better than Java in that respect. Memory and
startup time. I mean, that's another thing that's happened in our field, of course, is that when everything was deployed on these massive application servers where you could just add all the gigs of RAM you want, the space was cheap, then we didn't have to care so much about these things. But when you deploy to a cloud, you're being charged by disk space and by memory.
So cloud spend is a big deal. So I don't think it's acceptable that we, as Java developers, just say, who cares how much that our app consumes time megabyte of memory or gigabyte of memory. We have to be learn to be more efficient. And there are ways to be more efficient, and Micronaut proves that you can build something that is really efficient in terms of memory performance for Java.
As I recall, relatively recently, it was either you or someone else in Micronaut talked about how they managed to deploy to the Graal virtual machine, Graal VM.
Yeah, so the Graal VM is another exciting project, which again demonstrates that trend I was talking about, which is more intelligent compilers,
right.
Thinner runtimes. So, and really Graal VM, like one feature in particular, Graal VM, because they have like the JITs and they have Shuffle, the language framework, and it's really like a suite of tools.
Right.
But one particular feature, which is Substrate, is just the native image tool.
Which I love. But
I mean, it has its advantages and its disadvantages, but it's almost like the taking the intelligent compilation and the more advanced compiler to the next level of like statically pre-computing your app into a native image that then starts up in like 20 milliseconds, and it's really quite mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Now the technology is still young and it's still early, but it's just that's the exciting part of what's happening in Java right now. We've got these really intelligent compilers like Micronaut, what's happening with Quarkus, what's happening with Graal VM, that are taking frameworks to the next level.
It's true that a lot of people hear Graal and they immediately think that native image tool, when it's really a suite of products.
Yeah,
but the native image tool is really nice, and there are limitations because it's, of course, pre-compiling everything. And that makes it play nicely, or actually a natural for Micronaut, where you're already doing everything in compile time. You're not doing a lot of reflection.
Yeah. So it was interesting how that evolved, because like we open sourced Micronaut in May last year, but we actually started work on Micronaut like a year before that.
Okay.
So we open sourced Micronaut, and then around about the same time, somebody pointed out to me, "Hey, have you seen this announcement for this new thing called Graal VM?" And I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, this looks really interesting." And then so pointed out that one of the limitations of Graal VM is you have to declare reflection up front if you use reflection.
Exactly.
So
which is why it's hard to deploy Groovy or Grails to it.
So we were like, hold on, Micronaut doesn't use any reflection.
Yeah, exactly.
So this has got to work really well nicely together, and they do. They work really nicely together, because although reflection is possible on Graal, it is possible. You kind of have to declare every usage of it, and that places a burden on the developer. Now there are like ways you could like you can work around it. Like I think the approach the Spring team are probably going to take is to like generate the compilation time, generate the reflection data, push into the tool.
So automatically generated, so the tool will understand already.
But it's nice that Micronaut like doesn't even need any data. It just like works on out of the box, because architecturally it's such a good fit. Because Micronaut, if you look at the limitations of Graal VM Substrate, it's like things that don't work as well, or things that you have to declare. It's like dynamic class loading. Okay, we don't do dynamic class loading. Reflection, we don't use reflection. It's like a really natural fit between the two technologies,
which is awesome. I mean, obviously at this conference, Graal is making a big presence there. I do have to ask you, are you or someone from the Micronaut team going to be appearing at the Spring One conference as well? The Spring One platform, or whatever they call it.
If somebody invites me.
Okay. I just wondered, because personally, I'm not that interested in that. I mean, I do Spring all the time, and I'm not. That conference to me is too much of a rah, we wonderful type conference, rather than, hey, let's dive into the technology.
I haven't been into that conference in probably years. So
I liked it when it was Spring One.
Yeah.
And of course, I loved it when it was Spring 1.2 GX, which now is, unfortunate. Okay, so let's see. Let's something about OCI itself. Let's say OCI is the home of the support for both Grails and Micronaut. And how big is the team now, and are you still looking for people?
Yeah, so we're continuously looking for people. The team is like 25 roughly.
That's enormous. I mean, compared to what it was before.
Yeah. So yeah, it's grown a lot, and we have folks that do client work. We have folks that are engineering. I'm full time in engineering, and we have some other folks that are full time as well. And yeah, they're all busy. So they're all, especially.
And it's
especially with Micronaut in the last years, it's really picked up.
And it's a truly distributed worldwide
company. So
it could be anywhere in the world, right?
Location is not super important. It's more about your enthusiasm, passion, job. So we have folks in Spain, for example, where I'm based, and we have another 3 folks in Spain: Ivan, Sergio, Alvaro,
right?
Paul King
in Brisbane.
In Brisbane, Australia. Puneet in India. We have folks in the US.
From my point of view, of course, one of the real appeals to working with OCI is that, I mean, you're there, and Paul King is there, and Sergio is there. I mean, there's a lot of people that are really, really good and really active in the community. And well, okay, Jeff Brown is also there, but still, he's an executive. You're never going to see him anyway. Right?
Yeah,
he's making big deals.
He's in the suits. Yeah, he's signing the big contracts.
Right, with the long hair and all that. I do wonder how that goes over when he walks into the rooms with the big Fortune 500 companies and all.
Oh, he charms them with his prog metal.
Right. It starts playing Rush or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It all works out fine, because it's a generational thing anyway. Yeah. Very good. So you're still looking for people around, and the team is still growing and healthy.
Absolutely.
And that's good. And Micronaut is still growing as Micronaut in the future. There's 1.2 right now. There's probably 1.3 planned. Next
release will be 1.3 of Micronaut, and I have a whole bunch of things planned around that. Improvements to the core container part. We're going to improve the introspection modules.
So this is all under the hood stuff.
Yeah. So that it's user facing as well. Like you have these introspections where you can instantiate the bean and read its properties and so forth. And it's a really nice feature, but we want to make it more flexible to support static methods and interfaces. And
there was some JSON views stuff you mentioned, I think, also.
Yeah, so
support for that.
Well, that's more long term. That one won't be in 1.3, but
that'd be in 2 or whatever.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of interest in that. I've heard several people ask if we can support some of the Grails technologies.
Which is kind of like, if you want to use Grails, just use Grails. But, okay, so be it.
But it's possible that we put some of those. But 1.3 is mainly focusing on refinement, improving some of the core internals, making it more efficient. It'll probably be the last one for next time before we go into Micronaut 2, which we're going to support HTTP2.
Very good.
We're going to clean up some of the deprecations that we put. Nothing major. We're not going to break anything severely. That is, unless you're using a deprecated.
Now, of course, since this is the day for the release of Java 13,
yes,
right? We should at least mention that the long-term support releases, 8 and 11, of course, 8's end of life or whatever, but both Micronaut and Grails 4 run perfectly fine on 11.
Yeah. Well, Java 8 is only end of life if you have an Oracle.
Well, they're not releasing anymore.
If you go to Amazon or whatever, Pareto, they will.
Well, it's the community that has to supply bug fixes and security patches and everything now, and backport that all in. You were at the Java Champions briefing.
Yeah,
I was at that too, and of course, within the bounds of the NDA.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
Well, my impression of the entire meeting, if you will, was. Hey, this license stuff is way too complicated. And yeah, I know, but it's a complicated problem. Yeah, but you're driving people away. But, well, I don't know. Can I ask you to answer a question with a question? I mean, it really felt like kind of frustrating, all of that.
It is a bit frustrating. But
the short answer seems to be is that you pick a vendor, and that vendor could be a .open JDK, and SDK man supplies all those things. And the current long-term support release is 11, so as long as you're on that, should be fine, for at least another few years.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That is good, yeah.
And
So
both Grails and Micronaut are perfectly happy with those.
they are perfectly happy, yes. So that was one of the major tasks of Grails 4 was to get it all running on dedicated load.
So what's the future for you? Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you working on?
So
You're leaving OCI. No, don't talk to me.
no.
You found a dream job. You want to
No.
stay in your dream job, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm in a very privileged position of being able to work on open source projects that I enjoy working on, like Micronaut Rails, and innovating constantly and coming up with new things.
I'm really glad. I mean,
So,
it's sometimes nice guys win. I'm really always glad to hear that, because when the pivotal thing happened, I just felt like, oh yeah, it's a company really missing the fact that they had these outstanding people and they had something that was perfectly suited to them, and they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And now you're at a home where clearly
Yeah,
you're valued, and they care what you're doing, and they know how to support it, and they're reaping the benefits as well.
Absolutely,
Right?
OCI are a fantastic company.
So are you still traveling all over the world doing these sorts of talks primarily?
I'm doing the bigger conferences. So I have to rein in. I can't be traveling all the time. I should never get anything done. So I have to balance out, attending some big events like this one.
So you're saying if a conference can't get you, they settle for Jeff Brown? Is that the idea?
No, I'm sure.
I'll say that.
Jeff,
you don't have to
Jeff
say.
is an awesome speaker as well.
Yes, he is. I have to admit it. He's really good.
And he is also the man in the trenches. He's the man,
Yes.
he's like a machine.
We should mention, actually, affiliated with OCI, Jeff just did it's a 2-day or 3-day training class, I forget which, down in Houston.
Yeah, he's been over the place, going there. I think he's in California or something.
Yeah, I mean, you never know where he is. And
he's always going somewhere, and he's always delivering new training, new classes. He's the man out there in the trenches.
And likewise, Paul King did a webinar, I think it was a week ago, maybe a little more, discussing the plans for the future of Groovy 3 and beyond, I think it was. All the slides were updated. I was glad I got to sit in that. I always want to hear Paul talk.
Paul's great speaking.
Paul, of course, is the kind of guy who'll try to stuff 200 slides into a 45-minute talk, but that means the slides are amazing. So I always wait until
they're good slides
later.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is that what he was talking about? But that's great, and he was just at ApacheCon, as I recall, as well, because they're at Apache.
Yeah, he gets around.
He does,
And but Paul as well has to balance that out with contributing to Groovy, which.
So just to round it out, I'll just say I really am glad that OCI is doing well. I'm very happy that both Groovy and Grails and Micronaut seem to be in very good hands.
Yeah.
I hope the Gradle people will forgive you for using Maven in one of your talks.
I know.
Right?
But actually, to be fair, I used both. So,
okay, good.
I had like 10 things that you can do with Micronaut.
Yeah.
And I think 2 or 3 other projects with Gradle, and the other ones were with Maven.
Okay.
I like to mix it up.
Okay.
It keeps it fresh.
When you did,
I don't know how you can call Maven fresh, but anyway, keeps it fresh.
When you did your Gradle builds, did you use the Groovy DSL or the Kousen DSL?
Oh, I definitely used the Groovy DSL. I have not even actually played with it.
I've played with it, and it's not as clear, it's not as obvious what's going on. It does, however, streamline your choices.
Okay.
And when I've said people not happy with Gradle, it's usually because they're overwhelmed by the number of choices.
Yeah.
It's that, what do they call that, the paradox of choice. You have too many choices, you don't want to do anything. And Kotlin actually says, no, you have to have parentheses. You have to have double quotes on strings, locks you down a little bit more. And for all I know, that may wind up being appealing someday. We'll see.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it's good to have choices. I don't think that
I mean, as a developer,
they haven't taken anything away. You can still use Groovy. You can still use Kotlin. So
and they'll support those.
Maybe they'll add XML support next, or JSON. JSON support.
Let's make everybody upset. Very good. Yeah, let's do everything in YAML, right? Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah, YAML will be.
I mean, Spring Boot uses YAML config files, so my Grails supports it too. Yeah. Okay, well, everything is in good hands, and I'm glad you're here, and I hope you have a nice rest of the conference and wherever else you're off to. Do you get a chance to go home soon?
Yes, I'll be heading back tomorrow evening.
Excellent. Hopefully, not too many flight delays at SFO.
I hope, but I am. Fortunately, I'm flying direct.
Oh wow, that's a lot of hours, though. Isn't it?
I think It's like a 14-hour flight. Yeah. It's gonna be a long one, but at least it's direct. Because I think when on the way here, I flew like Philadelphia and St. Louis to LA and San Francisco.
Well, that's why you get the big bucks, man.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
I wish you all the best, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
take care.